maybe things on your old site that don't transfer over just because of the, you know, how they changed things. So back to the settings. You should see the settings in the upper right hand corner when you click on your site. You should see your settings, and then you need to scroll on down until you see Manage Site, and then that takes you to a whole new window, and you should see Convert to New Slide or New Sites. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. So if you have an old site, that can be your your challenge for today. And creating a new site is so they are just, it's such a friendly thing to do anymore. So if I want to create a new site, when I go to the sites.google.com/new, or if I go to my waffle and go to Google Sites, hypothetically, oh, and it doesn't always show up in my waffle, which I don't know why, but it should be in your waffle. When you do that, you have templates. And so you can go in and actually look at the template gallery, which is a great way to start if you don't, you know, if you are trying to figure out how you want something to look. You can just go in and grab one of the galleries, and then you can change things. I'm going to go ahead, I'll make a class one real quick. And so when I do a template, it comes up automatically with pages and everything already set up. And so quick navigation of the new sites. One of the things that I really appreciate about it is it's very visual, and you can link in a lot of stuff really easily. At the top of the page, this is your navigation bar, but you'll see over on the right is your control panel. And so you can change your themes. You don't have a ton of choices. And so if I change, right now we're in the impression, if I change to level, it changes it, boom. But I don't have a ton. I have very limited font choices. I have very limited color choices. So it's not like I have a ton of options there. But so I can go in and use their themes. The next one over is pages, and this is where I can add all the pages that I want. And so I can create a different page for each class that I teach. I can, you have a lot of different options there. So if I do a new page, I can go in and I can name it. And so this one is untitled now, so I can rename it. But 3 dots, always look for your 3 dots, because you can duplicate pages if you want to. You can add it as a sub page, and that means that, or I can add a sub page, meaning I can add another page under it. And so I can say, and so now I have pages nested under these pages. I can also hide from navigation. And so if I don't want anybody to see the untitled page because it's not, I don't want to publish it yet, or, you know, I just want to keep my navigation clean, I can hide from navigation. So those are some options that I have within that. And then whatever page I'm in, and so right now I'm on my untitled page, I can go in and I can use any of the tools, and when I'm editing a page, and this is some of the fun things about these pages, is I can double click and I can add in images from my Google Drive by URL, which is like the best thing ever. And so if I have an image that I have right-clicked and copied the URL from a website or from somewhere, I can just paste it in. I can do a Google image search, and then I can also pull it in from my photos that are in my Google, the Google account that I'm looking at. And so you have a lot of options for bringing in pictures. The other thing I can do is I can upload. And so here again, I can upload anything from my computer. So I can upload images, I can upload files, I can add text. Limited text capabilities, but some of the cool things you can do, you can change the background for it, and so you can do a lot of highlighting that way. I can make it a title or make it heading, so I have those options. I can also hyperlink in it, so I can insert a hyperlink there. When I double click again, I can embed. And so here is where if I have an embed code, so like Flipgrid, I can get an embed code for Flipgrid. So I could embed a Flipgrid in here. If I can get an embed code for YouTube, anything I can get an embed code, you can paste this in and you can embed it in. And so that's super cool. And that's how you can end up getting things full screen. And then the other really nice thing is I can pull in from my Google Drive. And so if I want to pull in something from my Google Drive, I can go in and
how did you get the Google Drive to come up?
all I did was I double-clicked on my screen and I clicked on from Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So what will happen, and so you can embed slides, you can embed all that stuff. What will happen though is you do need to make sure that whatever you embed can be viewed. And so like I have to share this document that I just embedded. I have to share that. So I really would encourage you to, when you do a website, either share it with a friend so that they make sure they can see everything, because otherwise you won't be able to, you may not be able to see everything or be able to access everything that you do. I mean, and it's just sharing. I mean, and I do it all the time in the sense that I'll be like, oh, I don't, I'll send it out. I'll just have somebody look at it. Just have somebody look at your site. It's just good practice. So yeah, so when we double click on the screen, you have quick options to add content really quickly. One of the things that I also love about Google Sites, and I think Mr. Garcia noted it, is it adjusts depending on what you're looking at. And so you can do a demo look. And so if you look at the preview, I can go in and I can see this is what it looks like on a screen. This is what it looks like on a tablet. And this is what it looks like on a smartphone. And so I love this. So a Google site is something that you would use to provide so your Google Classroom can only be seen by people who are in your Google Classroom. And your Google Classroom is limited in terms of images, visuals, being able to put buttons, organization, that type of thing. And so if you want to be able to provide concrete spot to place resources for your learners, you can do that. That would be your website. It's also something that your parents can go to, and so if you can provide the assignments would still be linked from your Google Classroom, but
it's really good to put I put a Google Calendar in my web page, and then all the assignments what we do daily is on that Google Calendar, so that way parents can see exactly what we're doing in the classroom.
Yes, yes. And so we can embed your Google, yes, you can embed your Google Calendar. And that's one of those things, that's one of the embed options. And so you can embed in your calendar. I mean, it's just the things that you can embed. And so like when we made the tie.link/online, when everything moved to online, we created, like under the help is where we put the webinars, and in webinars we had the calendar with all of the upcoming webinars, and so it was just a calendar that I embedded in there. We did an awful lot of how to, so links out to tutorials and resources. And so it's a really great way to share content, and you have a lot more visual options. We used, for your professional development, we didn't link out, I mean, we just used it as a communication portal, but that's where we dropped the calendar or the schedule in. And then we also provided descriptions of each of the classes. And so you have those options to kind of go in and look at. And so it really just depends on what you want to share and what you want to put on a website. But it is it's a quicker way to be able to provide information to your students that's also available to your parents, because your parents cannot see Google Classroom unless they're logged in as a student.
Mhm.
Okay. Couple of other things before I turn you loose to play. I'm going to throw you in breakout rooms and give you an opportunity to explore and go through things. Some of the things that I've just kind of found as I've explored, and I'm sure you guys all have your own aha moments. I really prefer using layouts that they give you under insert, because it gives you kind of a little structure that then you can modify around. And so this is how, let's see, this is, well, where is my, so like when we look at the transition to online learning, this is a 4-block layout. And so very easy to be able to share that. If we look at the TIE conference with the speakers, this is just a Google site, but it was so easy to put together, and it looks really polished. It wasn't hard. This is a 4-block layout that then I ended up also, you can add, another 4-block in if you want. And then you can start dragging images up, and then they start resizing. And, I mean, so the things that you do, I really, it's very flexible. And so you can do a lot of different things with it and play with it. And the more I use it, the more I learn with it. But the layouts help because they kind of give you that structure. One of the other really nice things is you can insert buttons. And so if you wanted to insert, days of the week, then you could insert your, assignments for Monday, for example, and just link to an assignment from your Google Classroom. So I actually is linked to support, I think. But so here I have a button that now has a link to it, and it's a filled button, and I can add in buttons.
And there's the calendar.
Mm-hmm. And notice as we keep on scrolling down, you have your calendar map. You can also just bring in directly. So if you wanted to do docs, I mean, it'll just take me to docs. So I can go that route. So exploring all the different things you can do is definitely worth it. And then We talked about the announcement, so let's pop and look at that real quick. So there is an announcement option, and so that is part of your settings, and so we have to turn on that in your settings. And so let's look at those real quick before we turn you loose. Publish, or publish obviously is what publishes your site. The first time you publish your site, it is going to ask you some questions. And so we have the class name. And so that's my web address. And so I don't even know, I don't really want to publish this, but yeah. So class example. Here I say who can view my site, and that is, so it'll default up here. I can just invite specific people to it. But down here, I can say the draft is restricted to only people, so that is the people that I've shared it with. But the published site, and that's the link of publishing it, that would be, I could say it's public, and so anybody can view it. I can also restrict to my domain, and so if I only want people in K-12, so your students would really be your students and colleagues would be the only ones. I have many teachers that do restrict to domain, but it depends on what you want to do with it. If you want this to be a portal where your parents can also see, then you'll want to make it public, because then they can see it. So I'm going to click on done. And so you have these search settings. I typically don't allow public search engines to display them, just because I mean, not that I'm putting in anything, I'm not going to put anything inappropriate out there, but I also, it's just, I don't necessarily want the public search engines to find it. So publish. So once it's published, now I can go back to my three dots. Here I can look at version history, I can duplicate the site, I can go in and look at help, etc. The settings is where I have some more options. And so this is where I can add in fun things. And so if you want to change your navigation, you can change where your menu shows up. You can also change your navigation bar to transparent, white, or black. Brand images, what's that, you say? That's your logo. And so if you want to be able to put in your school's mascot, or something fun like that, you can upload an image as a logo. It will also start to give you an option then to select the color for a theme, and so it's a little different once you do that. The favicon is the image that when you are in a website, it's like the little G up here. And so I'm trying to think which sites I've done that to. I think I did it to your site. Yep. So when we're in your site, I added the little tie logo up there. And so you can add a little tie logo, or I mean, obviously you'll want to add a tie logo, of course, but that's what the favicon is. You can provide information about your site viewer tools. You can connect Google Analytics. And Mr. Garcia, here is your announcement banner. And so you can put announcements in here. You can go through and provide a link to something. And so if you wanted to add a link to, like, we can add a link to our schedule. You can add announcements. And so you have some options there. So, and I can put it on all my homepage or all my pages. So super fun that they've added that announcement banner to our site. And so now if I publish it again, oh, and then keeping on moving on. Now I can copy the published link to my site. I can copy that. I can go back and do my preview, and I can do undo, redo. So what I want to Mr. Garcia says he played with it, but it doesn't do the same thing as the old announcement. So that's why you have a blog. And that makes sense. I mean, I just, it is nice to have that. They made a big splash of the announcements when they opened it up. Settings are at the top of your screen, and you have your settings, and that's where you can do all of that functionality. And so the announcement banner shows up at the very, very top of my screen. And then there's my schedule. And so I can send it to a link to. So I can do an announcement and add in a banner or a link if I want to. All right. So any other questions, comments before we dash into our next thing?
No, I want to change my site.
You want to change your site?
Yeah.
To what?
To the new one, but I can't do it because how do you minimize? Because you have your shared screen, but how do I minimize it still on shared screen? How do I?
So at the top of your screen,
Yeah.
you should see view. Do you
Oh,
see
view
that?
options.
Yep.
Oh, exit full screen. Right?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So yes, when you are looking at a shared screen, you have the view options and you can exit full screen. You can also exit full screen by double clicking on the shared screen and it'll take you out. So that's another way to get out of it. Okay, so what we'll do next, and so many cool sites. I love this. So what we'll do next is we're going to go back to our classwork and I will drop another resource or I'll drop another assignment in the chat. And so this would be something that if I had a website, I would share this, all my sites resources, and then I could share the assignment to that with you guys there. And so since you guys all either you're in a wide place of, some of you have sites, some of you don't, some of you have old sites, and you're all kind of doing different things. We have an assignment, and it's a hyperdoc, and so everything is all packaged together for you guys to explore. So if you go in and view the assignment, we're going to drop you guys into breakout rooms. So I'll send you back into the breakout rooms that we had before. And if you left, I will put you in a different breakout room. So make sure that everybody is in a breakout room with somebody. So I'll put you in breakout rooms, and then I will you want to open up the Google Slides for this assignment, and this is everybody has a copy. So you should each have your own copy of the Google Slides. Does somebody want to share their screen real quick to kind of show where that shows up too? Because when you're a student, it does look a little different. Please. Thank you, Melinda. All right, so when you're in your classwork, and so if you want to go to your class, oh, you might need to move, just move you can move what you're presenting at the top of the screen. You can move the shared screen, you can move that around so you can navigate easier. Okay, so in your classroom, so let's go, so you'll want to go back to your classwork.
So tell me what I'm going for, Julie. I'm sorry, I don't know what
Oh,
you want
you're
me to
okay. You just want to go to your class, the middle
do.
school class, so that one, yep. And then go to your classwork. And then there is the assignment for under building great websites. You had the question and now the creating and using with Google. So click on that, scroll on down, and then view assignment. And so one of the things to notice when we view the assignment is your document is over in the upper right hand corner under the your work. And so it's in your work bubble. And so that's where you can open that. And so you'll all want to go to your assignment or your work, go to view assignment, and then go to your work and open that. And that is your copy of the slides. And so what we're going to do is we'll go back into breakout rooms and you guys will each have a copy of the slides, and you can scroll through them. Basically, they'll give you some inspiration, and then you can look at, so there's links embedded in these slides that you can click on and read about how to connect your Google Classroom and all of that stuff. And then you make a site. So if you've already got a site, that's awesome. If you don't have a site, that's okay too. If you have a site already, I would definitely make sure that you have linked an assignment from Google Classroom and played around a little bit. But everything is in this hyperdoc that you guys will do, including links to the help. So I will thank you for sharing your screen. And each of you has your own copy of this document. So you'll be each working with your own copy of the document. And so do you have any questions before we go into breakout rooms about how to, what we need to do? Of course. And a quick how to do a screenshot. So you guys, I discovered something. You guys probably all know this. I didn't know it though. So I've been telling everybody, if you're on a Windows device, you can click the Windows key plus the Shift key plus the S. It's like magic. So Windows Shift S, and it brings up a little screen capture at the top of your screen that looks like, of course, I lost it. Hold on, let me do it again. It brings up a little screen capture at the top of your screen, and then you can grab a screen capture super easy. And so that is, and then it slides it over and it saves it to your clipboard so you can copy and paste, or you can open it up and edit it. So that has been my newest favorite tool. But the other tool I like to use is the snipping tool. And we get that by going down to your menu, typing in snipping, and it opens up, and then you have quite a few options with your snipping tool. Like you can I always do a rectangular snip because then I can control the size, but you can do your window, or you can do a full screen, or you can do freeform if you want. You can also delay if you want to be able to open up something or do something. You can delay up to 5 seconds, and that way it'll allow you to capture a menu or something like that. But so I used to use the snipping tool all the time, but now I use this Win Shift S. So the Windows key, the Shift key, and the S key, because it's like so easy, you guys. Life changing. All right, any other questions before we launch off into breakout rooms?
Julie, how do you, so I converted my old one to the new one.
Okay.
And in the new one, it has my old, it has my old pages, but how do you get it so that they come across the top of the, like the top bar? How do you get them to go up on that top bar?
Let's share your screen.
Okay. Just a sec. Let me get to that part. Okay, so share. Okay, so like, see, I have calendar, class roster, all these pages over here, and I would like them to go atop the cross here and show them. How do I do that?
So let me look. Click on one of your pages.
One of my pages, so like calendar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm trying to. So I'm wondering, your navigation, it looks like all of your pages are over under Mrs. Hager's Science. If you click on that, no, that's your logo. There they all. There's all your menu right there.
Okay, but I
So
want that. Yeah, but I want
that's
that to
okay.
show.
That's okay. So move over one more to the, I'm not sure what your settings are over on the far, you have a gear over on that.
Yep.
Try that settings, see what
Okay.
happens. And then look at your navigation. Your navigation right now is on the side, and so change it to the top. And then it says, notice that it says they're auto-saved and applied the next time you publish your site. And so try publishing your site and see what happens, okay?
So go ahead and close the X first. Close it,
Yep,
correct?
yep.
And then
Oh,
do.
there they are. Oh, they
Oh, yay! They're
showed
done.
up.
Okay.
Yay, life is
Thank
good.
you.
Yes, of course. If only everything was this easy to figure out.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm gonna
All
unscrew.
right.
I'm gonna
All right, so what
stop
I'm
my
going to,
share screen.
yes, thank you. So what I'm going to do now is we're going, so breakout rooms, unmute, talk to each other, ask each other questions. This is an opportunity to do, I mean, you're each doing your own thing, but it gives you an opportunity to collaboratively ask each other questions. You can always ask for help, and I'll pop in and check on you. And I'll also be watching your homework slides in the Google Classroom so that I'll be able to see what you're doing too. So I will be watching you. That sounds kind of scary.
Julie,
It's not like that.
can I ask one question before you go?
Yeah.
Hey, if you duplicate something and say I have 6 classes and I duplicate so in each 6 classes, if I make a change in one, does it make a change in all of them? It does not. Okay.
Nope. So that is kind of where like your assignments, like in Google Classroom, I can share 6 assignments across 6 classrooms really easily.
Okay.
But on a website, I can't do that. And so that's kind of the, your website is going to be really where you're going to be sharing. Once you've duplicated it, it's its own website basically.
Thank you.
All right, sending you out to your rooms. Use the help if you need me.
Shoot, how do I? It's not letting me go to my.
It's not letting you go to your room?
No, I'm
Hmm.
not in my. I'm not in my room.
You're not assigned. That would be why. Oh my gosh. Okay. I looked for unassigned and I'm like, I saw no unassigned and I'm like, this is great. But I have no idea why you're not assigned. This is
So I was.
I'm not in a room either, just so you know.
you aren't. I can see that. And somebody is freaking out that they've lost everybody.
I'm still waiting.
I'm not either.
I see that. Give me a second. So where is Beverly?
I was in group 9 before.
But I already have people.
Oh,
All right. Who are you? Say your name.
Summer.
Summer. Okay. I'll ship you back over to group 9. I'm not sure what happened.
I was
Okay.
in 4.
Okay. Who said that?
Allison.
Thank you, Allison. Do you want to tell me where you were before? That would be the easiest way. Angie?
7.
Okay. Aaron?
Aaron was in 6.
I was in 6, sorry.
You got people that take care of you. Beverly, you said you were with Mr. Coates, Mrs. Lee. I don't know either. Kathy, do you remember what room you were in?
I was in 3.
Okay. Eric?
Mr. Coates, what was our group number?
Miss Parker and I were both in 12.
Okay, so this is Eric and Miss Parker and Mr. Coates. That is so weird because it didn't show me. I looked to make sure everybody was assigned and everybody was assigned. All right, I need to know where, Laura, where were you?
7. Lucky 7.
Lucky 7, okay. Mary? Do you remember?
Okay. Remember, Mary was all by herself and no one was in her group?
Oh, yes. So we need to give her, to somebody. Okay. I'll just give her to room 1. Okay, Melinda?
6. 6.
You're in 6. Michael?
4.
All right. Mr. Miletto?
Number 2.
Awesome. Shay?
I have no idea. I had to restart my computer, and I don't know which group I was with.
Okay.
Wherever you put Quimby will work.
I don't know where I put Quimby. I'm going to put you in room 7, okay?
Sure, sounds good to me.
And then Sue, where are you? Do you remember? I'm going to drop you in room 10, okay? So bizarre.
Yes, who got their first lab today, and now has a house plan for
What you're going to see with your Google Calendar is each class creates its own Google Calendar. And so like you guys are this one right here. And so if I want to be able to publish it or do anything funky with it, I do need to go to my settings for that calendar. And then as I scroll on down, I have to provide access permissions and get either the shareable link. And so I can get a shareable link here and then I can embed that. Or I can scroll all the way down and so that's one way. The other way we can do this is if I go back to my website that I'm making. And remember when we were looking at all your options and we scrolled on down and we said, you know, oh, look, there's the calendar. Here I can go in and I can bring in any one of my calendars that I have access to.
Okay.
So couple different options there, but each Google Classroom you have has its own calendar. And so that when you're looking at it on your calendar, it's like, it looks, it's wild, but that's why. So great question. And then another question about something. Oh, the assignment, it won't let Angie turn in her assignment. So let's go ahead and share your screen so that we can look at your assignment real quick and go through that turning in the assignment. Okay? So it's the green share screen at the bottom of your window. Angie, are you able to share your screen?
No.
No? It's the green share screen button at the bottom of your Zoom window.
Yeah, I can't get my assignment to turn off. I'll figure it out.
That's okay. So would somebody else like to show kind of how the assignment needs to go and how we can turn that in, please? So we can model that. Because I'm not a student in our class, and so that's why I don't see that. So when you're in the assignment, awesome. So you're editing. Now you're ready to turn it in, right? So when you're ready to turn in your assignment, you need to go back to Google Classroom and go to the assignment that we're in. And so that should be towards the top of the page, I think. There you are. One assignment below that one. There you go. view your assignment. And now when you're ready to turn it in, all you have to do is click on Turn In, and boom, it'll be turned in. So you do have to go back to your assignment to turn in your work. And that is one of the things that when you're like working with your students and stuff, to have them practice that. And I have resources for you. I found these, let me think, when did I find them? Yesterday, maybe? I don't know. It's all a blur. So one of the groups that I'm in on Facebook is like a teaching in Google Classroom group, and they ask really great questions, and then they also share really great resources. And so I have 3 resources that I am just sharing with you. You will have to make copies of them, and you can use them in your classroom. But they've got the videos, they've got the instructions, and so they are something that you can modify and use with your kids. And so like yesterday we were talking about having a uniform so I'm going to post this out, and I'll post it under our Building Great websites, but you can grab it wherever. Yes. Okay. All right, I just posted it, and I will share the link with you guys so that you can go in and check them out, because this is a really great option for getting familiar with the resources. And so I'll share those with you. I'll share my screen and you can kind of see. So here is the get to know Google Classroom, and it's all self-paced. And so the creator is Katie Garcia, and she's created a little video for each section. And so you can go in, and so here's our getting to know Google Classroom. And she talks about, to show your work. And so she asks all these questions, and then you're supposed to answer these questions. She has you arrange your icons, take a snippet, and then show them how to do that. She has them show how to place pages in the correct order. And then this is one of my favorites, and you'll have to make a copy so that you can edit it. But when you insert a Google drawing into an assignment, you can click on it and edit it. And now you have a drag and drop activity that your students can do. And so this is a merge between a Google drawing and a document. And so now we have a little kind of fill in the blank drag and drop activity. And so she's given a ton of different resources here in terms of like how to turn in this assignment, what they need to do, how to turn in this assignment, what they need to do. And so these are all things that you can use with your learners. So there's the Google Classroom. There is Google Docs, which is the same. It gives you an option to go through and insert a screenshot. It tells you how to use the snipping tool, how to find a turtle. We have another drag and drop image activity that we can practice. We create a graph, we create a table. So these are all skills that, especially if you want your learners to know them, you also have all the little tutorial videos already made for you. So you don't have to go back in and recreate the wheel. And then the last one is, I think, Google Slides. Yes. So the last one is a Google Slides, and she has you go through and create word art, insert an image, insert a table. So you have a lot of options that you can utilize with your learners if you want those. And so those are all shared with you. They are in the sample materials, so you have them, and you can take and run with them. I also have a Google Slides scavenger hunt that I used with another school that I will drop in this collection too, so you have it for later if you want to use it. It is a little more juvenile looking. These don't look as kiddie as the other ones. And I know yesterday we were talking about trying to not overwhelm our students, and so this can be a way to kind of help them go through, and then they'll also have those resources as we're looking at it. So any questions, things that we need to cover before we wrap up, because we've got about half an hour left before we're done with the 2 days of training, and so, or 4 days of training. And so questions, thoughts, comments, things we've missed?
Julie, what's the difference between turning in and submitting?
Ooh, I love that question. So submitting is when you've not attached anything to an assignment. And so let me, oh, mark is done. And so, okay, so you have mark is done and turn in. If you've not attached anything to an assignment, you have a mark as done. And so that is where I in this assignment, we asked you, the sample materials are in your Google Classroom. They are in today's Building a Great Website Using Google Sites, and there's sample materials down there. So when we're looking at this assignment, if you guys are looking at the very first assignment that you guys did, the Creating a Google Classroom, that one says you do not need to attach anything to any files to this assignment, and you can mark as done. This is an assignment that I wanted, when I use this assignment, I want people to, we created a collaborative Google Slides and shared it that way. And so it was a way for, there's a collaborative assignment that you guys did, nothing needs to be attached, you mark as done. In like the assignment that we just did with the Google websites, there is, you have something attached. I did assign a copy to every student for this one. And so you already have a file, and so there's something to turn in. And so I try to be very clear, and every now and again I mix them up because we're all human, but I try to be very clear in, if there's an attachment, it says turn in. If there's no attachment, it says mark as done.
That was a great explanation and was very helpful to me. However, somewhere I've seen submit. Is that connected maybe with turned in? I've never actually gotten far enough with any of our tasks to turn anything into you. So
submit. I don't know. Okay. I'm just trying to think about where submit shows up.
Doesn't it show up if you did a Google form?
Yes.
And then at the bottom, you've answered all the questions, and then it'll say, I think it's submit, I think.
Oh, and that could be, Donna, because I did use Google Forms when we, last spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does show up if you do a form at the bottom. The students have to hit submit, or they have to redo the form if they don't hit submit.
Yes. So
Okay.
yes. Okay. So yes, and that is in a form. Yes.
Yeah, because in that case, you're answering questions and you're submitting your answers
Yep.
based on, using the form.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, but do and I don't always make you make students attach work to something, because it might be that we're doing, the discussion in the class comments is where what we're doing is at, and so it's just they need to, when they're done, they just have to say that they're done, and so it just depends on, sometimes it's turn in, sometimes it's submit, or not submit, but mark is done. The other thing that I see a lot of, and adults do it too, so it's not it's not, is when you return assignments, a lot of times there will be some confusion and students will resubmit them even though you've graded them and everything. And so you can just return them back to the students, and there's nothing that you need to do, because there's nothing to stop somebody from submitting, resubmitting. The other kind of wonky thing is, and I'm gonna, if somebody who's turned in their work for an assignment, if they would share their screen, I would appreciate it, so we can look at what happens when you've turned in your work.
It just says turned in.
Will you share your screen?
Yeah, here, let me get out of what I'm doing. Just a sec.
I think, and you can join with your personal account, and I really do encourage you to do that so that you can see exactly how things look and what your students are going to see, et cetera, et cetera. And it also helps with screenshots when you want to grab screenshots.
Just so this is it again. That's not it. How do I have it like 3 times? Not good. Okay. Where was the assignment?
Julie,
Yeah.
why is it that we can't be a student and a teacher in Google Classroom?
I have no idea. It's just how it is. I know, like if you use Canvas, if you use whatever, a lot of the other, I can't think of it. A lot of the other platforms have a, view as student, and Google Classroom doesn't. I don't know if it's just because it's a light version, a light LMS. It doesn't. It is very frustrating because it doesn't look that different, but it looks enough different that it's problematic. Thanks, Luann. Okay, so couple things. Luann has turned in her work, and so you'll see in your work bubble that there is a if she were to click on her slides right now, do you want to click on your Google Slides for us, please? You're going to notice that they are view only. So you'll notice that in the right under the name of the document, it says view only. So because she submitted that, it is view only. Okay. Now, if she says eek, I forgot to do the last page, she can go back and unsubmit that. And so go back to Google Slide, go back there, yep. You can unsubmit your assignment. It will say it'll unturn them in for me, and so I won't have them submitted anymore. And then she can go back and edit them now. And now she can go back in and she can edit all she wants, but she still needs to turn it in again. I mean, because it's not turned in any longer. So your students have that capability. The other thing, so once she turns it in again, and then I'm gonna take over. Thank you for sharing your screen. I'm gonna take over and show you on the teacher side what happens then. So we're going to go in and look at this assignment. And so I'm going to view the assignment and it'll pop up and it'll show me everybody that's turned in and that's assigned. And so I'm just going to use the one that I'm going to use yours, Luann, just because we were going back and forth. Okay. Maybe. Why don't I see you?
I'm really glad that happened because that happened to me a few times where students would tell me they turned stuff in and I couldn't find it.
I'm so glad that happens. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Let me see. There you are. I see you. I see you right here. So we're good. I see you. I think I just needed to reset. I think I was. We're fine. Okay. No. So I can go in and look at her work. I can click on it. And so from this point, there's a couple of other things that I can do now. One of the things, and this is kind of slick, I don't know if you use the comments bank, but there is a comments bank that I can add to. And then when I do make a comment, I can either copy and paste from my comments bank, or once I start typing, it will actually bring up that comment for me. And so if there's comments that you use often, you can do that. So that's kind of nice in the grading. The other thing, if I add any private comments, I could do this all throughout our assignment. And so if there was something that it was like, oh, if you want to do XYZ, this is how you do that. I could add a private comment here. I could also comment on her document before it was even turned in. So so awesome work. I'm going to return your assignment. I'm only returning hers, and I could, if I wanted to, click on the drop down and I could return multiple submissions if I want, and I could select everybody's that was turned in and turn them all back. So I have that power if I wanted to do that. So I'm just going to return yours real quick. So now that I've returned it, she can go back and she can edit it again, and she has editing rights, etc. Did Google remove the ability to turn in the assignment where the share button is the assignment? You know, I don't know. That's a really great question. So maybe somebody who hasn't turned in the assignment can try that. So if you haven't turned in the assignment, try going to the share on your Google Slides and see.
Yeah, I tried that and they have removed it, which is unfortunate because that's what I was telling my students. Like, it's really easy. You just hit right there. So apparently.
Yeah, no, it was too easy.
I don't understand why. That was a
gone
great
now.
feature, so.
Yeah, no kidding. So they must have removed that feature. And I'm sure they have really good logic.
Clarify for me what it is you're asking about, because I'm looking at my assignment.
So I used to be able to, like on the slide itself where it says share, it used to not say share. It used to hit turn in or submit or something.
Okay, gotcha.
From the actual assignment, yeah. And that's a bummer. They took it off there.
Well, it is, because I think, you know, I really did have issues with work getting to me. And I think kids were thinking that share button turned it in.
Well, that's the great thing if you make a copy for everybody, is that you already have it. So you can go in and say, hey, you know, you completed this. Did you forget to turn it in? And I did that to a couple of students, like, hey, you're all done with this. You've been done with this as a week late. They're like, oh, I forgot to hit submit. So that's what's nice about making a copy for every student, is that it's already shared with you. So it's like you don't have to wait for them to create one, and you can see what they're doing. So I found that really useful.
Yes, and so that was, thank you. You're like, so that is one of the things that I like when I make a copy. everything shows up. The other thing, when you make like if I say make a Google Slides and you do that in your student work bubble, it will also show up in my file or in the assignment here, so I can see it really easily. The other thing that I do a lot is you can open the folder for this assignment. And so when I'm in this assignment, and I don't know how you guys look at your Google Drive, if you look at it list form or if you look at it in grid form. Grid form for me is out of control. I just, it's too much. And so I generally look at list. And when I'm in list, I have a little more options. I can sort by name, or I can sort by last modified. And I always use last modified because now I can go through and I can see like, oh, look, you know, these people haven't opened the document, which, I mean, it looks like you probably have, but you know, I mean, it's like I can see who's done work. I can see who hasn't done work. And so I can check all this out. And so I do like to come in and look at my file and be able to navigate that way. And so that is something that I find really useful, is using the folder for the assignment and being able to sort and view that content. The other thing, like you noted, when you're in, even if somebody, oh, this one's turned in, let me go to one that's not turned in. So yeah, Ryan won't have done anything because he's not in this class, or he's not here today. So when I'm looking at this, I can go through and I can see the work. And so, like, for example, that he's done everything, like you said, and, you know, they hadn't turned it in. I could say, hey, you need to turn it in. Or I could say, oh, you know, do you need help with this? Or I can do that commenting and feedback right here, which is really nice.
It's just like you're walking around the classroom and checking on them. So
it is, yes. And that was, you know, while you guys were doing your work, I too was popping in the slides to kind of look and see what people were doing and what was going on. And so it's nice to be able to do that.
Another question.
Okay.
I had my students do a kind of an open-ended project, and it didn't make sense for me to send them a copy of something because it was coming to me in different forms of their choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have them submit something, and that's when I ran into trouble finding some things. Because if I understand correctly, when I create an assignment and ship everybody a copy, then a nice little folder gets created for me and all the assignments are there.
So I need somebody to share a screen with me again, please. I need a student. So any one of you guys, share your screen and be willing to, let's go into the assignments. Because then Rosalie will see when you create in your Google. Okay, so Luann, you're so brave. So if Luann, so if I would have said, you know, create a Google slide and do X, Y, Z, one of the things that Luann can do now is she can go into her work bubble and say, add or create. And she has the option to either attach something from her Google Drive. And so this is like Rosalie, if you've got kind of a really, you know, like they've made whatever, something, you know, they can come in from Google Drive, they could add a link, they can add a file. But then you can also go down, if you say, go ahead and click on create like a doc or a slide or something, just create something. So what happens now is anything that is in the work bubble, I can see from my side too, because it shares it both ways. And so, and the other nice thing, when she creates something in her work bubble, notice how it named it. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, and I wonder if Well, they must not have created it in that, what you're referring to as the work bubble.
Well, so go back to the assignment, Luann. So, I mean, if even if they don't create it in the work bubble, if we were to add something from Google Drive, it would not name it as nice. I mean, it would be whatever they named it. It doesn't change the
Yep.
name then.
Okay. And then I think I understand then what was going on, because I would get them to send me the name of it and then I could search for it and find it.
But it should come attached to their work. And so, Luann, do you have something innocuous in your drive that you can share with us? Just add something from your drive. So go to add or create, yep, from Google Drive. I hate to do this to people because it's like, what do we have? Oh, those look fun. So when you add that in, okay, so now all of those files should show up when I go in and I look at Luann's assignment for this work. When I go in and look at her work for this assignment, I should see all of those all of those attachments. Does that make sense? Even though she hasn't submitted them yet, I should still see them.
It does make sense. And one night I was on the phone with the mom and the kid, and the mom was watching the kid do it, and I never got them. So maybe there was
there's another thing. There's another thing. There's another thing. And so, yep, when I look at Luann's work, I see 3 files. All right, so if Luann was going to attach something that she didn't own, okay? So try, Luann, go in and adding and creating real quick, one more time from your Google Drive. And let me see, that Douglas Best Practices, I don't think is yours. Go ahead and click on that, insert that. Notice in her lower right left-hand corner, it says, couldn't attach file. Attach a file you own. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So if you don't own a file, you can't attach it. And so that is one of the things that I've had a number of people say, well, I attached it. It's not there. I don't know where it is. And then when we've gone back and replicated it, that is what's happened. And so that could very easily, I mean, and it is, I mean, it's so far down on your screen that it's easy to miss. You know, it's one of those things where you might not even notice it. So
and that's something I didn't know about to tell them to look for either.
So that could very easily be a challenge. You know, I mean, and so if they don't own the file, they can't attach it. So then they could make a copy of it and then it'd be theirs and they can attach it.
Right.
So that could be a problem. And the other, and where this comes into play is when you have multiple Google accounts. And so like I created a file in my personal account and then I share it to my K-12 account. I can't attach that file that I created in my personal account because I don't own it in my K-12 account. So it doesn't even mean that I'm cheating. It just means that I can't attach the file that I don't own. And so that creating in our K-12 accounts is going to be really important. But because you're using Google Classroom and they're having to log into Google Classroom and they're having to do all that, they're already in their K-12 accounts. And so hopefully that'll alleviate some of the confusion. Okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, this was so fun, you guys. I'm tired now. Thank you, Luann, for being an awesome guinea pig. I appreciate you bravely going into your Google Drive and sharing. sharing with us all. Any other last minute questions before we wrap it up? I do. There's a go formative question. And so, you know what? I'm not sure. And this is I'm sorry because we split the training of this one. I'm not sure what you guys have and what you didn't get. So let me look and see if you have the PDF stuff. If you don't, I'll make sure you have the PDF stuff. Okay. All right, so I'm going to drop it in the chat, but when you go into the Google Classroom Now What, structure, et cetera, there is a little blip about Go Formative in the dealing with PDFs, okay? And so if you go to this assignment and click on the Google Classroom PDFs here, and you scroll on down, you have a number of different ways to manage PDFs. And one of them is, keep on going to the very, very bottom, is Go Formative. And so you have the collection of resources and some examples. And one of the things with Go Formative is you are limited to so many PDFs a month, but you can upload PDFs to them and turn them into like questions. And so,
my question with that though, I looked at that. Sorry, I'm the one that posed the question. And when I click on it, it asks that formative wants the ability to view email addresses, class rosters, and view your Google classes. I don't know, does that provide like something we don't want them to have, you know, access to the students or something like that? It says allows formative to view email addresses of people in your class, to view Google Classroom class rosters, and to view Google Classroom classes.
Are you connecting it to Google Classroom? Is that what you're doing with it?
Well, so our curriculum provides us with some worksheets and stuff like that, and it's always in a PDF. And we were looking for a way to make it so they don't have to provide like a separate answer sheet. And the other gentleman showed us how we could put it in slides and create a text box.
Right.
But I'd heard from the other school that this was a lot easier. But so I was looking at signing in, but I don't know about giving them access to the students' email addresses and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Let me, I guess, and I've played with it and I don't remember what it.
I just clicked on it to sign in with Google and clicked on my Google name and that pops up. So before I went into it, I was like, maybe I need to check with someone about allowing access to that.
I will look and get back to you on that, okay? Because it is one of the ones that a lot of schools use because it is. But I'll look and I will get back, okay? I will post it in the stream.
Thank you.
Is there a setting in the chat that makes the links clickable, or is that just how it works? Your links are clickable if you have an updated version of Zoom. And so if you don't have an updated version of Zoom, that will make them be non-clickable. And so depending on your device, can manage your clicking. Okay. All right. So I will post the recording for today in